So everyone asks me how I got my job at Vox. I'll warn you now, if you're interested in this, look at how long this video is. It's not a 2-minute video. This is not a short answer. I am gonna tell the story of how this all worked out for me, and maybe you can glean some lessons for yourself. I am in Utah, and I am very happy to be in Utah. And I have snuck away into the mountains for a moment because that's what you do when you're in Utah. I have about 20 minutes right now before I'm meeting up with a friend who I only know from the internet, but he's another filmmaker named Brad, and we're gonna hang out and fly drones. So I recently talked about how I got started making videos, and if you haven't seen that, I'm gonna link it here. It's the first part of this story. Where I left off there was basically, I was this kid who tinkered around with my parents' camcorder for years. I was a film major for a hot second and then dropped out because I was disillusioned with the program, but kept making stuff. I married a girl who also liked to make stuff, and that's how I got started. How did I turn that into a professional situation where I was suddenly making stuff for bigger organizations or for a place like Vox? And that story begins in April of 2013.
Why are you limping? Have you been working out? What are we really doing?
We're moving to Washington, D.C. So we graduated from college, and that same week also Izzy had a baby. That wasn't the most practical decision. And then we moved across the country to Washington, D.C., where I didn't have a job lined up. We had a baby, we had about $1,300 in our bank account, and yeah, we were feeling really good about life. That $1,300 we had in the bank came from a research grant that I got in college to go do field research in Peru. So we moved to Washington, D.C., I went to Peru. And at that point, I thought I was gonna be getting a job in international relations. I was like, I'm probably gonna be a diplomat or something like that. Well, it turns out that it's really hard to get a job in international relations in Washington, D.C. There are a lot of people who have just graduated who are looking for jobs, and there was no way I was gonna find anything better than an internship. And so while I was in Peru, I came to this conclusion that I really had to leverage my video skills. And remember where we're at here. My video skills are nothing special. Like, they're a bunch of home movies, a little bit of motion graphics that I had done, but I did not have a strong portfolio of work or a really developed skill set. But what I did have is a big desire to pivot and say, I'm gonna go full into video and make a career out of making stuff. So, while I was in Peru, I cobbled together all of the work I possibly could. All of the dummy projects, all of the stuff that looked at all decent, and I put it onto a portfolio website that I built with a basic WordPress template. And I started to apply to jobs. Wow. Getting to the top of this hill. So I put together this pretty weak portfolio of everything I possibly could. And this was me scraping the bottom of the barrel to say, like, I at least know how to make some stuff. This is lesson number 1 of this story, and I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now. I had my expectations really low. I was like, man, I don't deserve to be making really amazing stuff for really amazing places. So I wasn't applying to my dream jobs. I was applying to any job that would get my hands on the tools, that would allow me to make more stuff and to get better at this stuff. That's all I wanted. I wanted someone to pay me to just play with After Effects and play with the camera. We literally needed money. Like I had a brand new child and Izzy was recovering from pregnancy. So I started working in a restaurant, cutting vegetables. I've always wanted to work in a restaurant. I kind of love culinary stuff. It's an amazing experience, and it paid the bills. So after a month of searching and working at this restaurant, I finally found a job in motion graphics. I was going to be making video for not Vox, not the New York Times, not National Geographic, but for an architecture regulation firm. Nothing that had anything to do with what I'd studied, nothing that I was interested in. But the key component here is that they were paying me for 40 hours a week to sit down and to make stuff in After Effects. And there I learned a ton. I stepped up and started to learn so much about how everything works in these programs. And I started to make a lot of stuff, and it wasn't stuff I loved, and it wasn't stuff that was pushing me creatively, but it was stuff. I was making stuff. You gotta make so much freaking stuff, and I was doing it, and I was getting paid for it. It's getting close to meeting up with Brad time. I should head back down and hopefully I don't slip on this little snow. So I worked there for the rest of 2013. And then I saw a job open up at a think tank, an international affairs think tank. They wanted someone to make videos for them. And I was like, boom, this is my next step. Like, I now know how to make motion graphics. And I had done some dummy projects on the side that kind of looked like, you know, maps and stuff. So I applied there to this think tank. CSIS is the name of the think tank. And I got the job. And again, was this my dream job? Was this what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life? No. But was this a job that got me one stepping stone closer to what I did want to be doing in my life? I was able to put my hands on the tools for 40 hours a week, and I was doing something that had to do with international stuff, which was closer to my wheelhouse. So suddenly this kid is now slowly starting to round himself out as a professional video person. But this is a lot of time in the trenches, and this is a lot of intensity when it comes to learning new things and pushing myself during the process. But you can start to see the transformation. At CSIS, I really start to dig into mapping, into storytelling, into explanation, into honing what my kind of voice is, my writing voice. This skill set starts to become more and more refined into something that's professional and not just a hobby. Okay, so now it is early 2014 and Vox.com is born. I remember the day I saw Vox for the first time. It was like in April 2014. It was like a healthcare video, it was an animation. And I watched that video and out loud, I said to myself in an empty room, I will work for these people. I will do whatever it takes to work for these people. And I knew that didn't mean just like passion and perseverance. It meant like, I have to get the skills to work for these people. So suddenly my work days were not just, you know, trying to slowly refine. It was like, how do I refine my skills to be good enough to work at Vox? That became the goal. So after a couple of months, I applied for a position at Vox. An animator position came up, I applied for it, and I got rejected. I wasn't good enough at that time. I really wasn't. I was left distraught and stewing on what on earth I could do to get hired at Vox. It was exactly 4 years ago from right now in Thanksgiving break of 2014 that I decided I was going to make a video specifically for Vox. That was my pitch on why they should hire me. And over that Thanksgiving break, I poured my soul into making that video. I called it my video resume, and it was like the 5 reasons I would be an asset to your team. Here, take a just moment to watch a section of this video so you can get a flavor of what I'm talking about here.
I am a multimedia generalist based in the Washington, D.C. area. And my whole thing is that I'm interested in connecting high quality media arts with foreign affairs.
I poured over this video. I remember being in the airport on the way back from Florida where Izzy's parents were living at the time. I remember I had to board the flight, but I had these like the 3D section of it. I was rendering in Cinema 4D, and I was like, oh, I can't like let this stop rendering because I have to finish it like on the plane. And so I downloaded this extension called Power Nap where you can leave your computer on after you close it, your laptop, and it will continue to run. And so I did that like really quick, and then I like closed my laptop and let it render the 3D stuff like while I had it in my backpack. And it was an obsession. It was a literal obsession. Like, I have to do this. So I finished the video and I sent it to Joe. And Joe responded, yes! And that started an ongoing conversation that lasted a few months that ended in a job offer at Vox. Oh, yes. I'm gonna give you a couple of takeaways that I think are useful from this story. I don't just want it to be a story, I want it to also be like maybe some lessons. The first takeaway is the exact same as the one I did in the previous video, which is you don't need a gatekeeper to validate that you are professional. I don't have a degree in filmmaking or in design or animation or in journalism, but I was able to enter into this craft and this skill set and am able to do it now. You don't need a gatekeeper to validate you. The second takeaway is about understanding the long game of developing professional skills. The long game perspective here is that you find a job that allows you to get better at the skills that you need to get better at. That job probably won't be the ideal, perfect job that you want. It won't be your dream job, but it's gotta be a job that gives you a large body of repetitive work on doing the same thing that you want to be doing in your dream job. If you want to get into journalism, that could be going to a local paper and writing a ton of stories and learning how to be edited by a traditional editor. If you're a filmmaker, that might be shooting weddings. If you're a designer, that may be like designing for your like local like school newspaper or something. I actually did that in college. I designed for our political newspaper and learned design skills. Not because it was my dream job and that's what I wanted to do, but because I wanted an opportunity to put my hands on the tools and to get experience and repetition in those tools. Okay, I gotta go run to pick up Brad now, but the last takeaway here I'm gonna call the prove that you're worth hiring takeaway. What I mean by this is if you really want to work at a place and you really believe that you have this skill set, then prove it. Like prove it, like show, don't tell. I get emails all the time from people who are like, I love Vox. Vox is like my dream. It's like so great. And I want to work there. Like, is there a job? And I'm thinking, you're telling me that you're passionate about Vox and that therefore you should be hired. That's not like proof. Like a million people are passionate about Vox. If you feel like you should be hired, prove it, like show me. In fact, the emails I like the most are when people are like, hey, check this thing out. And there's like a link. The perfect example is my experience with Joe. I sent him an email with my application, didn't hear anything. I sent him a very short, probably one line that was like, look at this video resume. Boom, I got an interview. Show, don't tell. That is like not only a lesson for storytelling, but that is a lesson for getting the job that you want. Develop the skills and then prove that you have them to somebody. If I rambled enough, I'm gonna get in my car now. My hands are a little cold. I'm here in the shadow of these giant rocky mountains. I'm gonna go pick up Brad and we are gonna go fly some drones. I've got Brad Devine here teaching me the ways of the new drone. I've been like, teaching me the ways. It's like a marginally
tiny bit bigger.
Yeah.
This is where I learned dronerangs, or whatever you want to call it, bro.
Dronerangs.
I found him on an Explore page and I'm like, I've got to do that. And I've been hooked ever since and he still tops me off. You saw his one in the mountains he recently posted.
Pushing the limit. Long story about how it all worked out with Vox is helpful. Please leave comments. Let me know if you have follow-up questions. I'm happy to give more detail. And as always, these videos are for me to answer questions that I can't answer in emails and other things. So please just tell me your other questions, and if I get a lot of them, I will make a video about them. All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.